All right, welcome into another edition of Silver Lining Podcast. I'm Adam, and this is Grunkle Uncle Rex.
Hi.
Hi, Rex. How are you?
Great, as usual.
Yeah. So today we got a lot of stuff. The last live we did in our last podcast, we understand that a lot of you have questions, and Rex and I encourage our live podcast for you to ask whatever questions you want, and we try to answer as many as we can. And so we still have a backlog of questions today that we're going to try to answer for you. We do appreciate, you coming on, and I know recently our numbers for podcasting have gone really high, and lots of comments, a lot of viewers. So we're just going to try to do the best that we can with answering your questions. But before we do that, Rex and I actually have a question for you. Rex, you want to tell them what our question is?
Yes, and we know this isn't live. So first of all, that's why we're going to try continuing to ask questions. So at least we won't be getting more questions in live and fall behind like we do during our lives.
This is part of us, yes.
Right. But also the direction we're going with this community is we want to build, and we've mentioned this a few times, we want not to build, it's already there. We want to continue this platform as a safe haven for people that want what the what the community is about. That's being able to come and be understood, understand others, hear the stories of others, get support from other people. The vast majority of you don't comment, and you aren't required to. By the way, one of the questions we got a few times is, am I an optimist? I subscribed or whatever. If you're listening to us, we consider you an optimist. You don't have to be subscribed or have any other status. We just appreciate you listening, because that helps not only me and Adam, but it helps the other optimists. All the energy that goes into finding justice for the victims is positive. We feel it's optimistic. And so we appreciate that. But back to the question. Sorry, Adam.
No, I like it, because you're getting the things out that I was thinking. Yes.
Okay, good. Where we want to go with this, we want to, and we'll be doing this a lot in Patreon also, we want to find the right resources for family members of victims of crimes and perpetrators of crimes. Like Adam and I are family members. Many of you, I think it'd be safe to say a majority, Adam, don't you think? Many of you are also family members of criminals or victims of criminals. That's a niche we particularly are concerned about, want to make sure we have resources for them and to create a safe place of understanding. And so we want you to tell us in the comments of this podcast what you need or what you feel that family members of criminals, family members of victims of crimes need. And I'll give you one example just to get us started. I asked this to Lisa. Lisa, before marrying into our family, Adam, and she
had her own situation, right?
She had her own situation in her own family, and she, right away, when I brought that up, she's the first sounding board. I said, what do family members need? She said, we need a safe place. And she started to go on, but I stopped her right there. I said, that's it. We need a safe place. To what? The answer to what is going to be different for everyone. We need a safe place to talk or to heal, to be left alone or to be understood. That's one example. In your mind, there may be dozens of other needs that you feel family members of crimes and criminals need. Please share that with us. It's going to help us form what we're becoming as a community.
Or even like with us, I know you and I have been criticized from people because we have dark humor or that we use laughter for part of our healing in our situation. Again, this is a safe place where we can come and do that, where we're not going to get judged by, optimists and people who have had things happen to them. And so, like you said, that could be a variety of things, but we do want you to feel safe. We want you to feel, that this is a place where you're not going to get judged from us. And 99% of the optimists, I'm sure, are going to, not judge you for whatever you come up with. But if you are going to be super negative, then that's, we don't want a lot of super negative things going on in the podcast. So I've seen some negative comments, really negative comments that, some optimists got on there and are like, hey, why are you here? We're not here for any of that. We're here to, we're here to heal, to feel safe, to grow, to heal, to learn. I mean, this podcast, I've learned so much being on this podcast. Like, it's been an amazing process for me. I know I've been healing as well, but learning has been a lot.
Yeah, and encouraging others and supporting others. There is so much of that on here. In fact, I'll start this off with all the questions from the comments. It won't just be questions, but there are particular topics we want to bring up. And the very first one is so beautiful, so positive. It really, I think, communicates what this community is. From Kathy Somerville, Rex and Adam. How does it make you feel how so many people have been brought together by this case? I've never watched a case like this. I love that. Isn't that the truth? Not just our community, but think of this entire case. There are millions of people around the world that have been brought together trying to find justice for these victims that they didn't even know existed before this case happened. And we've said continually that is one of our silver linings.
Yeah, one of the posts on our Facebook group. And by the way, I think we're almost at 13,000 people on our Facebook community group. So if you want to join that, or if you know, what is it?
On the Facebook community, it's past 2,000, right?
Oh, that's right. When was I? I was talking about
subscribers on YouTube. Yeah,
subscribers on YouTube is almost. They want to get it to 15,000, or people know that. But yeah, 2,000 people on Facebook. And so a lot of the posts, I've mentioned several posts on several podcasts, but one of the posts mentions something about an optimist talking about this group in particular, and how they feel, and that it's safe, and they know they can come here and heal and feel good about some of the posts and comments that are there, which is just another, besides the podcast, it's another group that is more positive than not positive. And so I don't know. I just feel like, if you want to be part of the Facebook group, you can do that as well. It's just an extra thing on top of, our podcast that may or may not make you feel good. But I mean, every post that I see on there, I get excited about, several posts that help me with my own things that I'm going through.
Yeah, it's a beautiful place. And subscribers, we want a lot of subscribers, but we only want subscribers like the ones we have now. We don't want numbers. We want the type of people that we just described. People that want to be in a safe community and encourage each other and be loving and supportive. You don't have to agree, but you know how to disagree kindly. And we'll see some examples of that today. There are a few of the optimists I've gotten to know just by name, because they often say things I disagree with, but they say them so well, I always appreciate it. So I always listen to their perspective. I've changed a couple of my opinions on things because of that. And so that's what we need. We want a community like that, not just numbers.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. So
we started off with that. Now we're going to get into the trial questions.
We are. And starting off, Adam, I felt kind of bad. And I was going through questions we didn't answer. And poor Chanda 86 gets the award for the most persistent without becoming rude. I think she used the appropriate emoji for like, okay, guys, are you ever going to see my comment? And Chanda, we never did because we never got that far in the questions. You were towards the last part of the podcast, and we never got that far in to see it. Okay, so Chanda first asked, hey, did you think Joe Murray was extremely disrespectful and ignorant? Now, I want to point out here, a lot of people ask a question, and more than wanting to hear our opinion, I think they want to make the statement and or maybe hear some discussion on it, and we welcome that. This is a case in particular. I didn't have that thought of Joe Murray because anyone that testified, if they were someone whose testimony I liked, I thought positive of them. If it's a testimony I didn't like, of course I didn't think as positively of them. And that was the case with Joseph Murray. Chanda thought that he was extremely disrespectful and ignorant. Valid, or Chanda's perspective is just as valid as mine or Adam's. I didn't like what Joseph Murray said. I didn't believe some of it. But that's my thought on it. Adam, did you?
I feel like there's so many people who have different thoughts on different witnesses, and obviously with prior, that really, anger people or get you upset. You're emotionally we're all emotionally invested in this. And when we're emotionally invested in something and we're watching somebody try to disprove what we already know is true, it angsts us, it makes us angry, or it gets us to the point where we want to share with other people. Are you feeling the same way I'm feeling when you hear this person speak? And so I think this is a good outlet, and this is a good illustration of a question that actually demonstrates those types of things. Because, always, Chad's kids, everybody's upset about, the things that they said, and everybody has their perception on that. Do you agree with me on that? And I think when we all see the big picture, yes, we all get a little upset trying to think like they're trying to pull a fast one, and everybody's calling it out on it. So it's great that everybody is stepping in and saying, hey, what about this? What about this? And so, and everybody's got something different that gets them, depending on how they're emotionally affected by this case, I think.
And even if Adam and I don't agree, we certainly aren't the authorities on most anything here. We're here to share how we feel and give a perspective, a family perspective, but that doesn't mean we're right about anything. I don't know we ever try to claim. In fact, the more we have found out about the case, the more we realize we can't lay claim on any inside knowledge or anything that's factually accurate. But we're glad to share our opinions, and we don't mind saying we're wrong when we're wrong. I said something the other day, Adam. I got a text from a family member, and I don't know if I'm right or they're right. It doesn't matter, but I'll share it. They said, hey, Brandon's life insurance policy wasn't $1 million. It's $250,000, and it was borrowed against. Okay, I was wrong. If that's a fact. I was wrong. I'm fine being wrong. I'm fine admitting it, and that wasn't. Another one, Adam, the cause of Wally's death, your sister who died as an infant. I think in past say that's SIDS, but it was actually a birth defect. Very, Lisa just came in, brought me a drink, how nice, and didn't want to be on the camera. Thanks, babe. She's a gorgeous girl, and she doesn't want to spell that feeling. You can say hi to it once. It's not live, but they'll hear it.
Hi. We just had a whole party, so.
I love it.
I just disappeared from the screen because when Lisa comes in, of course, she demands all of the attention that she is. Which she should. Which she should. Exactly.
I'd be behind her when she comes in next time.
I'm just gone. Yeah. But, yeah.
Well, yeah, so Lolly death, so not SIDS, but a birth defect. So, I mean, you're not trying to say anything that is false. You're just going on what you knew or what you heard or whatever. And that's what I go on,
And I was just wrong. So I don't admitting it when we're on. Adam, I want to go back for a second. I left this early to Kathy's comment to start it off, talking about so many people being involved. Let me just show this when I can get a better handle on
sharing the screen.
Here are the different cities where people are found. Interesting, out of the top 10 cities, Salt Lake, number 1, Seattle, Phoenix. Australia makes 2 of the top 10 and 3 of the top 15 cities of our optimists, of our listeners.
Yeah.
Vegas is there, LA's there, but down on the list a little. I didn't know it. And the friend I met, Sandy, in San Jose, wasn't the only optimist. There are like 10 of them in San Jose, California or so. But here's what I wanted to show. I was just going to say, we do get a lot of comments and emails from Australia, and they're dying for us to come to Australia to do a live in Australia so people in Australia can come. So, and I know Australia is a very big place, so who knows? I don't think people would have to find just the right place. These countries,
easy access for everybody.
You can see on the screen an order of number of listeners or number of views, whatever. United Kingdom, but Australia's there is number 4. Look who's number 5, Adam. South Africa.
Wow.
We had some optimists there. We don't know that many. New Zealand, Ireland, Sweden, Germany, Netherlands, Mexico. There are 24 countries outside of the U.S. listed on here.
Well, that's what you were mentioning, that this case has affected people worldwide because the case is so different. And I don't know if the word different does it justice, but it's affected so many people. And I think for you and I to write a book and do a pop on it has really, from what people have said, enlightened them on so many different things, because there's so many questions to this case that some are never going to be answered, and some, because you and I have told what we know and what we think, which makes a lot of sense to a lot of people, they also adopt the same things that we have said. So I think our podcast and our book has really helped a lot of people kind of put a little bit of a handle on things that they've always wanted to know about it, which helps people come to closure on some of their things.
Okay, let's keep going here. Tabitha Brown said, I'm so glad there's a community I can share with. I think about everyone often that's been affected by this tragedy. And there are a lot that have been affected, as we were just talking about. Teresa Thompson, there's so many people who need help with dealing with grief, anxiety, and depression. So I think your platform will be really helpful. That's why I'm saying I want a whole lot of subscribers, not for the ego necessarily and the people that want details on the case. I want for people to find a community where they're safe. And that's what we want here. Okay. So KCL, our friend KCL Adam, who contributes a lot, and I think we're going to hear from her at least 3 times today, says, yes, Rex and Lisa. Can't remember what Lisa said, but I can't wrap my mind around why murder was acceptable to Chad and divorce wasn't. I want to make a point with this one, Adam. All of these apparent discrepancies, like this one, how does it make sense that murder was okay, but divorce wasn't? And all these things, well, if he really believed this stuff, if Lori really believed this stuff, let's just make the case at the beginning here that we do often. they didn't really believe it. They were making stuff up to fit their purposes, and it changed all the time. And I know you know that, KCL, and everyone else knows that. I just like to remind us, because people have questions sometimes, say, well, hey, why did they do this if they believe this?
Logic. We're talking about logical people who see this case. If you're logical, you're like, well, you both could have just got a divorce, and the kids could have gone to all those things. So yeah, exactly. It's logical. That's what we think. But Chad and Lori never thought logical ever, as a couple, or as soon as they met, or before they met. They were already on a destruction path before they met.
Well, they didn't justify to themselves with logic. They used their lives to justify what they did.
True.
So it's not going to be the way of that people think are logical.
Yeah.
Including us. Sorry, I muted myself. Here's a good quote to help Summer. Someone mentioned Summer, who's going to be doing a presentation at CrimeCon. By the way, someone asked if we were going to be at CrimeCon to support Summer. Neither of us is planning on being there. If Summer contacted me and said, Hank or Rex, would you be there to support me? I would go in a second. I think Adam would do that too. She hasn't asked for that. But, and here's another bigger point I want to make, because it pertains to a few comments here. When people say, are you going to be, or is anyone in the court to support Tylee? Meaning family members. Are any family members there other than Larry?
Right.
I think we've all seen what this does to Larry, and Larry is a warrior. Every time I see Larry, I give him a big hug and thank him for bearing the burden for all of us that he bears. And it is a tremendous burden that he bears. And I don't want any other family members being in court, because it is a horrific burden. Now, our side of the family, there have been myself, 3 daughters. I don't know who else has been to court from our side of the family. I'm not encouraging any of us to go. It is a terrible burden to be in court, to hear about what Lori and Alex did to Tylee and JJ, and to the lives, everyone affected by the other lives they took or tried to take. That's tough to deal with. I don't encourage family members to do it. I'm sorry if people think that we need a family member. Now, I've been to court for, in this case, but I don't think we need family members there, because it's too big of a price to pay emotionally. Adam, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, obviously you've been there. Summer had to go testify. Colby had to go testify.
Testify is even worse, and they didn't have a choice, of course, but they didn't sit.
Yeah, but with that, I mean, supporting Tylee doesn't mean we have to go sit in court to show that we're supporting Tylee, or that we don't love Tylee or miss Tylee. That's something for the public. And if that's public, if that's what, some people in the public feel like, well, if you didn't love Tylee, or you're not supporting Tylee, this podcast and this book was written for Tylee and JJ. We started this for them. This is a much bigger platform than sitting in court and having your picture taken at court while you're there. So that's my thought on it. I know other people, you may have another thought on it, but I can't go to court. I just wouldn't be able to function.
Yeah. And there is no one on the earth that loves Tylee more or JJ than the people in our family. There are other people that also love them. I'm not saying we love them more than them. It's not a competition for the quantity of love, but There's no question within our family that we all love them.
Yeah.
Most of us aren't able to pay the price to show that in court because some people in the public feel like that's what we should do. There are a lot of people in the public that tell us what to do with what we should be doing with our lives, and we aren't going to please them. I just hope our family members
again, they can have their own opinion. They can say that whatever they want to say. I've heard everything. So no matter if I do something or don't do something, it's a double-edged sword. I'm going to be criticized no matter what happens. So if I'm going to be criticized no matter what, I'm going to go the safe route for me at this point.
And thank you for doing that, Adam. Please, in court. So this person, Jake Ray, CRE, in support of Summer. Summer's concerned for what people think. She's testifying there. So she's saying, if she's concerned, loosely quoted, I'm only responsible for what I say. I'm not responsible for what you hear or what you feel might be appropriate too. I wish Summer all the strength in the world and all the best for what she's doing. If she would have asked my advice, I certainly wouldn't have advised it. I would have advised her following her conscience, which I believe she did. That's why she's willing to do that. And her relationship with Nate Eaton is so, and she's appreciative to Nate, like all are. So I think part of the reason she's doing it is because she appreciates Nate.
Yeah.
And Erica Mesa also asked if she's the one that asked if we'd be a crime con to support Summer and followed with, I don't understand why so many people are hateful towards you all. Lori committed the murder. Family members didn't. True that. Well, except for Alex. But true.
Yeah.
Giggles in Your Art. If there's a good name. I have a name. Chad's kids said their interview that their dad was being framed by Lori. That's the interview they did on TV earlier on. If that's the case, why is he still married to her? This falls in that category of, the children said that on TV. It doesn't mean Chad believes that she's framing him or.
Right. Well, you mentioned something earlier too about, Chad's kids and I said, well, what would you ask him? And you said you would give him a hug because it's just too much for them to go through as well. Their mom's dead. Their dad's on trial for, all these murders and all this stuff about, and if you're his kids, what do you do? And I kind of try to walk a thin line with those kids just because I know what it's like to be criticized, being part of a family. I don't know them. I don't know what they knew. A lot of people think that they knew way more than they're saying that they knew. But so I'd never want to criticize them. I do. But then again, logically thinking, I'm thinking, how in the world could they not know with the kids being buried and Chad having an affair and marrying Lori 2 weeks after Tammy's dead in Hawaii? Like, how do you not see Charles being dead, Tammy being dead, Alex being killed? Like, how do you not see all these red flags? And so that's the part it's hard for me to give them any kind of pass, only because it's just so blatant in your face. But again, they're going through a lot. I don't know them. I've seen them on TV. A lot of people have opinions about, they're lying for their dad, and they, that's what people are saying they're doing. And, they're it could be that. So it's just, I don't know. It's that's the part where it's really hard to go between both of those things that are on my mind.
Okay. Here's how I
don't know if that makes sense.
I am not giving anyone a pass that lies in court, okay, or that is complicit or guilty in any way. I have all the compassion that I am able to muster up for anyone, for Chad's children. I have compassion for them. That is not a pass that they're innocent of anything they might be guilty of. I don't have any insight there to what they know. Are they lying or not? I don't believe a lot of what they say. The point I make is different from that. I have all the compassion in the world for them and what they're going through. I think it's terrible. I think it's terrible that Chad would put them in that position. Now, having said that, just like my own family members, I don't give a pass to anyone who has lied about it, who is guilty, complicit. True. Could have told something that they knew when they didn't. So no passes, but compassion for the people, because as a few of our optimists have pointed out, this is going to be with them the rest of their life. I mean, we're focused on the trial right here because we're so anxious for Chad to be found guilty, and they're apparently trying to defend him. So there's a lot of energy around that. They are curious. They're lying. They're going to carry this their entire life and have to deal with that. I don't wish that on them, but that's a consequence of their decisions.
So only a couple of Chad's kids testified. The other ones did not testify.
Right.
Is that because the other kids don't have the same views as Garth and Emma?
We don't know. We know that John Meyer in his opening statement said 3 or 4 of the children would testify for Chad.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we know. And the rest is speculation, and we aren't above speculation here.
What I just pointing out is, as we're focusing in on this, it's like maybe the other kids aren't brainwashed as these two.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Let's see. Tory Myers. We love Tory Myers, and this is one reason why. I've heard a lot of bashing of you two from different people. In Hidden True Crime, there are people who are defending you guys. I am one of them. Thank you, Tori. And we know that, well, anyone outside of our community, there are people that don't agree with us. And Adam and I find that hard, not because...
But what are they bashing us for? Like, what did we say or what did we do that they would be bashing us? That I don't understand it.
Well, Adam, you've read the troll comments that we've seen in the last year. So
yeah,
is there any new reasons for bashing us? But I've said all along, I can understand people not trusting us because we're trying to make money off our dead relatives, or not trusting us because we're just a little bit off. We smile too much. We laugh too much when we're talking about things. I get that. I wish, although this isn't reality, I wish the fact that we're all on the same side trying to get justice for Tylee, JJ, Charles, Tammy, any other victims, living or dead. I think the body count's up to 7, but that includes Alex, and let's not even go there counting the body count.
Right.
I wish the fact that we're on the same side would be enough to overcome any hard feelings towards each other or how we say things, but that's not the world we're living in. We'll deal with that ourselves out here. We'll take the consequences that go with that. Jay Capri, if the jury finds Chad guilty, will they follow through on the death penalty? This is would like to hear, Jay Capri, what you think. This is open for wild speculation. Adam and I will start the wild speculations here. Y'all can follow in the comments. I think the jury is incensed enough, especially their last witness. The defense's last witness is telling how horrific Tylee's death was. Why would the defense put that person up there and bring that out? Is it to say, well, Chad's phone wasn't on, so he shouldn't get the death penalty? I don't know what the strategy is there, but I am very encouraged by getting to know Tom Evans, our friend whose book will be released when Chad's trial's over, thank goodness.
Wow.
Sex, Money, and Power. So look that one up. I'm really looking forward to it because we've gotten to know him a little, trust him completely, love his perspective. And that gives me hope that just like Lori's jury saw through all of the mountain load of information they had to sort through and saw how evil this was, I think I'm very confident and hopeful that Chad's jury will do the same. And all the way through the deliberations, for people that don't know, in Idaho, if the jury finds him guilty, the same jury, the trial continues on and they bring on witnesses to determine what penalty he should get for being guilty. So that will be decided by the same jury. Adam, your thoughts?
Wow. I did not know that. That's interesting to find out. The question was, do we think that he's going to get the death penalty? I think with all the evidence that was presented and the lawyers did a great job presenting it. I think he's going to get the death penalty.
That's our wild speculation.
Yep.
And if they don't, as long as he's put away from humanity in jail for the rest of his life, I'm not going to spend any energy boo-hooing that. Leah Ross, who I believe is in Israel, we hear from her, I think, just about every live. And, anyone that's dealing with what they're dealing with in Israel,
stay safe.
Yeah, whether you're in the thick of it or not, our hearts and prayers go out to you. Do you think Pryor's witnesses helped the defense this week? No. What do you think, Catherine?
Oh, I don't think anything's going to help Pryor. I know he's trying to put on a front and trying to, but everything backfires on him. It just seems like it all backfires. So I have confidence that this jury is going to see right through everything, just the way we all have.
Okay, KCL. I promise should be up a couple times here. It's okay that you don't agree on everything. Is being open to another's perspective. I should have brought that comment up when we were talking about this a few minutes ago. Thank you, KCL. It's exactly what we... Linda Stewart asked, is probably asking the moderators, are they, meaning you and I, Adam, only answering questions by people who join as optimists? And I think I mentioned this earlier. To me and Adam, anyone listening is an optimist. Anyone asking questions, an optimist. So, yes, Linda, if that's the case, you're an optimist, and we'll answer your questions too, including that one. Okay, I've referenced this one on Saturday during our live. I don't know if I showed it, but let me repeat it. TV Techna said, I'd just like to say I appreciate the positive approach and optimism you both bring to the community. Thank you for not tearing anyone down. And the context in which I mentioned this was we had run out of time, or we're running out of time, and we were going to talk about trolls and use a couple of live examples of trolls, and we wouldn't have spoken very kindly about them. TV Techna's comment really caused me to catch myself, rethink myself. In the religious world, we call it repentance. Okay?
Yes.
Rethink what I was going to say or do. So thank you, TV Techna, for that reminder to someone who shouldn't need that reminder.
And I haven't really torn anybody down, but I have said a few things to people who have been very negative about us. I think that's really got to me, and even some comments. But overall, I think we're good.
I do too, but let's keep being good.
Yeah.
So, Adam, good question here. Shy Dow 8, who do you think was next? Meaning on the hit list, and followed up by Sylvia MTZ. Adam was next, and then Melaniese's kids. Who do you think was next on their list, Adam?
That's interesting because, Lord trying to convince Alex that I'm a zombie and that, what happens to zombies? They get killed. So It could have been me. I don't know about Melanie's kids. I don't know where they were as far as, on that list. I don't know what kind of conversations that they had about Melanie's kids. It could be, I may have been next on the list. But who knows if what happens to Zulema, if Alex doesn't die, or Melanie. They could turn on anybody at any time. And apparently, as far as this goes, at any time, Chad could tell Lori, they're now a zombie. Lori could be, are you sure? Yes, I got this from God. They're a zombie now. Okay. And then she just goes right along with it. So as far as that goes, I know I was on the chopping block, but again, I don't know at what time frame that would have been, and what good would it do for them to kill me? Like, they're not getting any money out of it. I'm not really trying to disturb anything anymore. They cut me off already, and my family sided with Lori, so it doesn't really I wasn't really talking to my family or trying to get Lori in trouble or trying to get her after that thing with Charles. After that, everything just went away. So this all happened after all that happened. So it's weird that Lori would try to tell Alex that I'm a zombie now.
Well, okay. So your point's valid that, okay, they wouldn't get any money from you, but I want to remind you of something. Remember when we had your cousin, my nephew Brax, on the show? And one of the things we wanted to say, I don't know if he said it, but he said it to us the day prior. He said, well, Chad was the one seeing through the veil, talking with God. That is power. And so all the people following him, that gives him power. Well, Lori got in on that power too. Once you had that power, Adam, I'm not sure they needed the financial motive. They may just be ticked off enough that you are against them, and they don't want it. And they had a hit at the time. Okay, so I don't know if they needed the financial motive. Obviously, then was on the list, and they missed once. Doesn't mean they stopped or could have stopped. So right here, I need to give a big shout out. And I don't know enough of the people to shout out, but let me explain the system and tell them the one person I want to shout out. We talked about Nate Eden a lot, justifiably so. He became the face of the media to us because of a few reasons. And he still is, and I thank him every time I see him. But Justin Lum in Arizona, if you remember what was going on in Arizona, and you hardcore true crimers will remember the interview I'm talking about. It was from Brandon Boudreau's good friend, whose husband worked with Brandon, as did my son-in-law at one point. He didn't at this point. But this good friend came out and talked, and she described this, how scared to death they were when Charles was killed. And they felt like, well, they knew what was going on. Charles had been killed. Brandon got shot at. They were all scared to death. And the police weren't helping. They couldn't just run to the police. They tried, and you know what happened with the police there. Think of how many people were affected. Now, are they going to follow up and kill Brandon? Someone's after him. Are they going to look for his family? Brandon took his kids and went into hiding. They were looking for them. Melanie is on camera looking for them, showing up at people's houses saying, God told me my kids are here. Let me see them. And Martin forcing her way into their house. Or I don't know if she forced her way, but we know, you can look at the body camera, see for yourself how that went down. And so that is the friend on the video she did. I can't remember which program it was on, but everyone was afraid for their lives. People would not show up. People that worked for Brandon wouldn't show up at work because they thought some gunman might walk in one day and start shooting the place up to get Brandon. Can you imagine living in that fear? And they said it wasn't until the media finally paid attention that it took the heat off, took the fear away. Just was as far as I know, the focal point of that media attention that got all that going there in Arizona. And finally gave these people some peace so they could sleep at night, because now there's media attention on it. The spotlight's more on them. Maybe they won't act as irrationally as they had. Because think of you and Zach, Adam, how you were that night there in Summer's house. Describe that again for us. That describes it well.
Well, that night when I got in a fight with my mom at her house, the last time I saw Tylee, Zach and I were staying at Summer. Summer and her family were in New York, and we were watching her dog. And, that night, I knew Alex and Lori murdered Charles. I just had that feeling. I was like, there's no way it was self-defense, and all the things that they said. I heard 3 different stories that night that were 3 different things. And I was like, maybe at the time I thought, man, is everybody in my family in on this but me? Am I the one that's not involved in this, don't know anything about it, about, how they killed Charles and why they killed Charles and all that stuff? And then I started really getting scared. So that night, Zach and I were at Summer's house, not knowing if Alex was going to come kill us, knowing that we were there. We were up all night. We had all the lights on. We got in a car at 6 a.m., drove to the Wichita or the Arizona airport to head back to Wichita. And even when we got back to Wichita, we were all scared. So we had all the blinds pulled down. Every time we pulled in and out of the garage, we made sure the garage door was shut. Nobody crawled in. I mean, we were taking precaution like we just didn't know. And so for months, we were terrified, living in Wichita, not knowing, if Al could get in a car and drive, which he loved to do, was he going to come kill us?
And that ended up, Adam, that fear. When did it finally get relieved?
I had it for a long time. I remember in Christmas time, I think, I don't even know when the last time I feared for that. Maybe, after the FBI called me or called Brandon, then Brandon called me and told me Alex was dead. I think that was the time I was like, I didn't know even how to act to that. That my brother died. How did he die? But the relief that at least I know, still haven't even mourned. I haven't even mourned Alex yet. So there's a lot to unpack there.
Yeah, and still a lot of us feel, as I've mentioned before on here, no evidence of this. I just feel like the killings were ritualistic, which means there are other observers. If that's true, I'm not saying it is because I don't have any evidence. If that's true, those people are still out there unaccounted for. They aren't in jail waiting to face justice. So those thoughts are still active. Why did I get off on this? Because Shy Gal and Sylvia talked about who is going to be next on the list. Let's keep going here. Tabitha Brown says, this feels so personal to ask, but if Lori, now this is a little bit different twist on a question we've had before, Adam. I like that. If Lori somehow allowed herself to come out of her delusion, would you guys be open to a relationship with her? In other words, would we visit her in jail and talk to her?
If Lori came out of her delusion and, she was crying and was so upset, and look, I was, I don't know what I did. I can't believe what I did. If she was really apologetic and I could see through that, yes, I could have some kind of a relationship with her. I don't know what it would be like, but I feel like if she went through that process, then I would be able to talk to her. Yeah.
And I'll agree with that too, and add a little personal note. My example for this is Lisa. You saw, and many of you have seen her before. She has a family member serving a life sentence for a terrible crime. And this family member didn't commit the crime against Lisa, but had, in a sense, abused her in the past. And Lisa, and so the family would not visit. This person was kind of dead to the family. And Lisa is the one that said, no, we've got to go visit him. And she is the first one to do that.
Wow.
So we're a little emotional on that. So carry on, Adam. Sorry.
Well, I remember that story too from Lisa. It was the first time I heard that. And I was like, wow, that is like, and you're going to get criticized with that either way too, one way or another. But I feel like if Lori snapped out of her delusion and she was, back to normal and normal, at least then I would know that she would be repentive and a changed heart and all these things. Then yes, then let's talk. And like I said, I don't know what kind of relationship that would develop into, where we would go. Like if she's trying to convince someone to come kill me, I'm going to forgive her for trying to, tell Alex to kill me. Is that something I can do? And Brandon was really good about this. I remember I talked to Brandon after Alex shot at him, and I remember how humble Brandon was about, and I was so upset about Alex, and I was going off on Alex to Brandon, and Brandon's like, well, he's lost right now. He just doesn't know. And, I forgive him. Like Brandon was saying this to me, and I was like, oh my gosh, how the forgiveness, from my talk to Brandon really changed my perspective on things. And that's why I think Rex and I have a lot of compassion for people just in general. And we all make mistakes. We all, have our things, but when these mistakes are like gigantic mistakes that affect you, or someone's trying to kill you and you forgive them, those are life-changing perspectives. And it's got to be very difficult to do. I don't know how I would do it or what I would do, but I know there's people that do that.
Very good. Yeah, and I'd be glad to talk to Lori. I just wouldn't want her out of jail. Love's unconditional, relationships or not. So as long as she's in jail, so everyone's safe, then I wouldn't mind talking with her if you wanted to. Related to that, Adam, you said Alex was talented, but was he smart? Good distinction there. This is from Jet J. Okay. Alex was extremely talented, but no one accused him of being the brains of anything. So no, not the smartest person, but the question is this: how could they use the Jedi mind trick on him? Why wasn't he disgusted by his actions? Good question, Adam. You want to tackle that?
Why Alex wasn't disgusted by his actions?
Right.
Because I think Alex was we've talked about this probably a million times, but his mind frame was Chad and Lori gave him a way out of repentance, or a way out of dealing with all the things that he was confronted with in his life. And they said, you're forgiven. This is the probation. You don't have to worry about anything. And so he took into that and bought into that. So I don't think that he thought his actions were disgusting. I think he was doing it in behalf of the calling that he was given. Chad and Lori said, hey, you're this angel and you're a protective angel, and this is what we need to do to collect the 100 billion. I could be completely wrong, but that's the only thing that makes sense to me of how you could actually do what he did.
Thank you for addressing that. Ladybug Lisa asked, do you think they thought Tylee knew too much and that's what happened with her? I think that's one of the reasons for which she died. Maybe not the only reason, but yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Adam and Rex, do you guys, this is from Rose M. Adam and Rex, do you guys think that enough evidence was presented for the jury to come back with a guilty on all charges? I personally think there is. And Rose, your perspective is as valid ours, but I believe and I surely hope that that's the case, Adam.
I agree.
All right. Mama Cat. After listening to the audio recording of Chad and Lori about the plans of digging in the backyard was like a smoking gun to me. What do you think? By the way, I hadn't heard that until Chad's trial. Me neither, Mama Cat. I hadn't heard that. And yes, I think that was significant, and the jury could see just the meaning behind that. Adam, what do you think?
I totally agree. They saw right through all that. So, yeah, it was good that they played that.
Ooh, I like this. Nancy Lynn 27 says, in my opinion, the Roe books started them down the spiral, and both just exploded and took it to horrific levels. I'll add one more book in there, in my opinion, Nancy Lynn, and that is Visions of Glory. And I'm a kind of a personal freedom type guy. I'm never going to say don't read a book. But please, if you read Visions of Glory, do not get a Messiah complex from it. Apparently, I've heard this from people that have read it. I have not, and I don't intend to. But people get the idea that there's something they are not. You are not part of God's top 3. I mean, you aren't something you aren't. If you've never been in your life, I know someone expressed that Chad was dismayed that he wasn't in church leadership. First of all, that type of person always, not bugs me, but I always wonder about them. Who wants to be a leader in our church? Just means you deal with people's problems. That's all it means. There's nothing behind it. People talk about, the authority of what authority? You don't have authority to do anything except deal with people's problems and make people feel good or bad if they are weak-minded enough to turn to you for good or bad feelings instead of turning to God. I mean, that's how I feel about church leadership. I'm not against church leaders. I love learning from people that are smarter than me, more spiritual than me, have more life experience than me, express themselves better than me.
And if I'll put it on top of that too, that they put in a lot of work and a lot of hours that, I'm grateful that they do. Yeah, they're not getting paid out of it, but I think there's something to it. You feel like in any church or in any business, you feel like there's some people who want to be in power, and it makes them feel good to be in power. So I'm sure that goes on in our church. I'm sure that goes on in other churches. I'm sure that goes on in businesses, all kinds of sports teams, all kinds of things if you put that in perspective. So again, being a leadership in our church, for me is like, I'm glad that somebody's doing it, but I don't want to be that guy.
I'm with you. Now, I do have some advice here I think is real important, having to do with, from this question, Nancy Lynn, whether it's Julie Rowe's books or Vision of Glory, do not follow what anyone's book says except for God's book. And the best way even to follow that is to let your conscience be your guide. Are you surprised? I had some advice for people.
But I love that. And it's so true. A lot of times we read something and then we just get all fixated on something, one thing, and it changes our life about going this direction or this direction. And we don't even stop to think about what our conscience feels, or logically. Sometimes we just get so carried away. So yeah, there's a lot of people want to blame Julie Rowe. A lot of people want to blame Visions of Glory. And so I like Rex says, just you use your conscience for everything in life.
Another word for conscience is common sense. So, use that. You can substitute that. But good heavens, you are not more than you are, and your conscience will tell you what and who you are and what you're doing with your life. And you can just love that. I'll tell you, my conscience made one of its first big victories against me, against my ego. In the mid-1980s, and reading some of Stephen Covey's books, I just laid my conscience open, and I realized, you know what? I don't have to be Lord and Master of the universe. And I retired from being Lord and Master of the universe. And what a relief in my life. I didn't have to solve all political problems, all socioeconomic problems, all of people's problems. I thought, man, it's nice not being Lord and Master of the universe. And I have enjoyed that retirement ever since.
That's great.
Let's see.
Good advice.
LS, a.k.a. Chester's mom. I love you, gents. I really do. Thank you. We love you, too. You are all in my prayers. I also know a fabulous... Oh, that's why I put this topic here. I also know a fabulous PTSD counselor who would come on your show if you'd like. She is amazing. Please email us at rexandadam@gmail.com. We want to develop resources, not only to have them on the podcast, but if they're willing for optimists to contact them, we want to put them on our list of counselors.
Yep.
That may be able to help our optimists.
Yes.
You know what, Adam? I said I'd call it when we're at 30 minutes. We're at like 45 or so. How are you doing? Fine. Can we keep going?
Yeah, we can keep going. What do you got?
We haven't even gotten through the leftover questions from Saturday, much less the topics that are in the comments. So this is not a winning proposition, we decided. We will never get to all the questions. And just because we get to some and don't get to others, it doesn't mean we got to the best ones and we're going in order of good to bad. It's kind of the order in which we get to them. And we have two moderators during the lives, and they're working their tails off recommending topics to us, and we got more than half of those, but meaning we left a lot unanswered. So I apologize for that, but we'll keep going. We just love being part of the community. We love the interaction with y'all, and I'm sorry this is the only way we get it, but or almost the only way we get it. But we'll just keep going here.
I think we're over like an hour and 10 minutes.
Right now?
I think so. Did we start?
Oh, maybe. Right. Oh, okay. Sorry about that.
We can get a couple more in.
Okay. So much for keeping track of the time. Let's see. Getting back, here's where I was. This is from Jamie Kaisi. Adam, I made it the memorial for Tylee and JJ. I want everyone to know, and this is a tribute to Adam. This is why I put it up there. It's not a question. Adam was the kindest, friendliest, glowing person. I hope to meet you again someday. Very true. The Adam you see on here is the real deal. So wanted to point that out. S.G. Johnston, do you think...
Oh, I'm glad I'm not fake. That's good. This is good to hear.
Well, some people, put on a different persona in public. Then you just don't have an extra persona to put on. So
I think I need one. I don't know.
Well, not on this podcast. You aren't getting by with that. S.G. Johnston, do you think if Charles never changed his life insurance beneficiary, that Tylee and JJ would be alive? Would Lori have saved them since she would have money? I don't think so. I don't think to Lori and Chad there is an amount of money that was enough. I think they would greedily, we're going to come up on my friend Jeannie Marie, that expresses this real well later. But in case we don't get there, since we're out of time, they're just in it they're in it for quick, I think she said. The quick dollar, and this was quick. And they get enough of it. Is my thought. Your thought, Adam?
Well, again, I think there's several reasons why Tylee and JJ got killed. One, Tylee probably knew too much. Two, they could get money from them. Three, Chad didn't want Lori or anybody in his group to have kids. As far as the group, that's 144,000. That was part of his thing. Is like, well, if you get to take this calling, You can't do it with kids, kind of thing. So if there's three strikes against you, those are the three things that I think is the reason the kids are dead.
Me too. Penny asked, "Do you find it suspicious that Emma did not ask her dad why he was being arrested in that backseat police video?" Yes. Yes, as a matter of fact, I do. And not reacting to, okay, they're digging up children, human remains in your yard or your dad's backyard. Yeah, when that wasn't the forefront. And later on, someone asked if I would, something about my kids. And I can't remember how they said it, but kind of in the same situation, would my kids stick up for me? No, not one of my kids would stick up for me in a similar situation. They would be the first to call me on it. I mean, as soon as they heard it, individually, collectively, none of them would do what you saw on there. I don't think Zach loved you. I don't think he'd let you get by with anything.
No, and I wouldn't let my dad get away with something either. I think we all agree generally, it's when you're thinking about it, you love your family members, but if they're going to do something that's against the law and you know about it, sorry, but I got to tell the truth.
Quick note here, Colette Millette. I'm a regular. I just don't ever talk. Thank you, Colette Millette. And I may be mispronouncing that. Maybe Malay, as she's French.
Well, fantastic.
But thank you. And we love to hear from optimists that we don't get to hear from very often. And again, it's the vast majority of y'all. We got 100-something comments to 30,000 people listening to it. So, and we love the comments and we love the people that aren't commenting. I'm not saying anything about that. We just know there are a lot of people we don't hear from. Here's a very interesting question. And soon you can guess who this is from, Adam. Question.
Okay.
Who is the family basketball champion? Now, this is from CONCLOTT. Con C. Lott. Sounds like Connor Christie Lott disguised. So I think she's trying to bring up a little controversy here, Adam. Christie,
well, you can say who you think the champion is. I'll say who I think the champion is.
Well, I'll say
now. Is it just between me and you? About the whole family?
Is there anyone in the family that could beat me or you?
Recently, Austin.
Oh, okay.
Austin.
Good to know.
Austin has some serious skill. Colby's got some really good skills in basketball as well.
So good. Yeah.
So, interesting. I don't know. I think I'm probably still the champion. I'll take the reign of it.
No.
Rex can say.
I'll give you the facts. Adam and I used to battle for family champion quite a bit. The last time we battled, I don't know how many years ago it was, certainly not recently, but I won the last time we officially battled. So the fact that Adam can outshoot, run, jump, and anything on the basketball court now does not change the fact that we haven't had another competition for that. So I'm going to let it stand right there. Moving on to Ana Franco.
Okay.
And this would be a good place to end it right here. In fact, I planned on Ana Franco's statement being the last one, but we haven't covered any of the comments from the current questions. Should we stop here, Adam, or do you want to keep going?
Yeah, we could probably stop, unless you feel like we need to do more. Is there more that...
I just hate stopping because there's so many good topics, so many good questions. We heard from Jean Alvihiritz, our publisher. It's been a minute. We haven't talked to her.
You put it on pause right now?
Okay, let me put it on pause and we'll discuss this. We'll be back.
Yeah.
Okay, continuing on, we huddled up and said, okay, we'll finish just the topics that we have listed. We actually went in, took the time to bring topics or questions off of the comments from the comments during the live, and then some of the comments that are on the live. And right away, I want to point you all to this one. So if you go to the live now, if it's available to you, if you can get on YouTube or one of the other places that shows the comments, and scroll down. I won't read the whole comment, but I just saw it was so appropriate. From Effie3798, Effie spelled EFFIE. I wanted to pay tribute to this. I'm a mom to an autistic 5-year-old boy who reminded me of JJ. JJ was incredibly adorable. Every picture of him makes me want to give him a hug. I see his wonderful personality. Then Effie went on to give us some beautiful insight into autistic people, which I said, want everyone to hear this. Would you please go read it if you have access to it? It is beautiful. And I know Lindsay, this is a subject near and dear to her heart, Lindsay, who does so much for us. But I just have, thoughts on autistic people. And one of the thoughts in here is, I have a hard time calling them, what's the right word, challenged or something. They just have some skills that come out differently. Anyway, please read that. We have a couple comments from our great publisher, good friend that we've all heard from, our optimist, Jane Alvey Harris. So I'll read one of the comments. The grace you are extending to the Daybell children is not surprising at all. Consider the message of your book. Thank you for the plug for the book. It does justice. It helped me check myself and reframe the situation. It was hard for me to listen to them on the stand, but it had to have been exponentially harder for you. Your perspective has aligned my life. All of this stuff, especially the last 2 weeks worth, have been really, really difficult, but that doesn't change the fact that they're getting dragged through the mud unlike a lot of us.
Yeah.
Okay, back to topics. Let's see. I saw something today. Adam, why do you think church leadership wouldn't listen to Heather Daybell's concerns about Chad's extreme belief and plans? If they had listened to her, so many lives could have been saved.
Well, again, I don't know if Chad was doing his beliefs in church, like as far as teaching a lesson, or I don't think you're going to be teaching false doctrine if you're doing that. I'm sure that there was a few that he pulled aside personally, and did that. But again, church leaders, they're really there to help the members of the ward or the state that they're in. And so when it gets into it, he said, she said, I'm not sure exactly what Heather told them, and I'm not sure exactly what Chad actually said at church. I'm not exactly, what the general, the leadership said to Heather. I don't know all the details, so can't really go on.
Let me jump in there. I listened to Heather's recording a little bit on that. I was glad to find out today from Megan, had a post. Your cousin, my niece Megan, had a post saying, hey, I was wrong. Apparently church leaders did do something. So apparently Megan had said something in the past about them not doing anything. And according to Megan's apology today online, the church leader, there's a church leader that called Julie Rowe in and said, hey, stop with these books. She said, I can't. It's owned by the publisher. So Chad's stake president called him in about Julie Rowe's books. Okay, now that's not the whole topic we're talking about here, but they did get involved in asking him to stop or something. Now they can't force someone to stop, but they can just say, hey, if you want to stay a member of the church, or I don't know like you, Adam, I don't know all the details, but let's not assume.
Slope when you get church leaders involved in somebody said this and somebody, but if it's public and if the church leaders hear somebody at church doing false doctrine, then yes, they get involved.
Yeah, let's not assume any of us, including me and Adam, that we know everything that went on with church leaders. We do not. It's not like they would come out and say, hey, I told them, or, we did this disciplinary action or whatever. That wouldn't be public. So we don't know enough of the background to assume that they didn't do something behind the scenes. With some of it, they may not have known the scope of all of it like we do now with the great benefit of hindsight. Okay?
Yeah.
That is our Mormon segment here. A couple other religious things. Did Charles Timber tell the yes? Yes, he did. That was a question from Jet J. Jet J also asked, or said, I read somewhere that Mormon men are supposed to keep their feelings and emotions in check. Calmness is respected in the faith. Have you ever heard that, Adam? No, I've been a member all my life, and I've lived in 27 different cities in, a lot of different places. I've never heard that one. I went to church in all of them. Never heard one. So,
especially when you see men of the church go up and bear their testimonies and just, fall apart. And have tears, and it's there. It could be a lot sometimes.
Yeah. So, Jet J read that somewhere a week ago. I don't live in a state with lots of LDS. There's all sorts of stuff. You'll hear about any religion, especially when it's not close. Do LDS members not believe in law enforcement punishment of crime? Well, Rad Vibes. I don't know what's behind the question, but I assure you LDS members believe in law enforcement. In fact, the church is real big on encouraging people to obey the law of the land wherever they live. Remember, it's a worldwide church. I don't know what's million people all over the world. So
11 million, I think.
Whatever, it's a lot. It's a lot of millions, and they believe that following the laws and people being punished for their actions according to the law where they live. Kelly asked, has it occurred to you that Alex was a serial killer? Yes, it occurred to us. In fact, that's part of the dark humor in our family, the fact that a lot of our jokes are about the fact it's dark humor. We know, we are painfully aware that there are two serial killers in the family. Adam, I'm sorry, I jumped on that first. I should have let you go first, but this one goes on, so I'll give it to you. Joe Ryan was probably his first, but he could have killed before he attempted to kill Joe. I don't have any foundation, any reason to believe that. You might know. If you have something, put it out there.
I really feel like Alex got involved in killing when, Lori, got into his brain a little bit. So, before that, no. And his whole life, him and Lori, they didn't do anything, serial kill or do it for pleasure of killing. This is a whole other ball of wax what they're involved in.
Definitely. Let's see. Which covered that. I believe David and Melanie, this is David Warwick and Melanie Gibb, are complicit and got married so they didn't have to testify against each other. Thoughts? This is one of those from Sean A. Meadows, 4822. Good thoughts to share. Good perspective. I don't know how that testifying against your spouse when they, those crimes from before you married, I don't know how all that works. But I like the thoughts. My thoughts are, I appreciate that's a perspective I hadn't thought of, Shauna Meadows. Adam, anything else on that?
That is a good perspective. I haven't thought of that either, but yeah, it sounds like it makes sense.
And Adam, this one's for you regarding your new coaching business.
Oh, cool.
Oh, I think I read this earlier. Every wounded person is a therapist waiting to happen. I like that.
Well, I'm no therapist. I'm not claiming to be a therapist. I can help you I can coach you with, succeeding with your goals in life that a lot of us let fall to the side. But as far as being a therapist, I guess there might be a little, coaching could be converted on both of those ends. But yeah, I've had a lot of experience in life, and that's what I'm using my coaching on, the things that I've learned.
Very good. Oh, Donna Woodrome is the person that said, Rex, if your children found out there are two bodies in your backyard, what would they ask you? Well, they would call the police first and ask me something later. She said, I would ask what the heck is going on. Yeah, that's very polite language. Thank you. Thank you for the polite language. Now, Jeannie Marie, 5908. Good grief, Jeannie Marie. How many aliases do you have? You have so many different names on here. This is 5908. In her opinion, not a lot of money, easy money. They were after not a lot of money. They'd take whatever money they could get.
Yeah.
And so they're looking for easy money. They were both used to living off the efforts of others. Laura got money from her husbands and the government. Chad lived off his wife's employment. They learned how to get rid of their spouses and acquire easy money. Great point. Great perspective.
Yep.
I explained our support for him and Garth. I don't give any support to him. I give compassion to him. Your explanation of Melanie P wasn't clear. Sorry about that, but I think we covered what might have been your question, Data Load K, about, we don't have any insight to Melanie that y'all don't have. Okay, and so, we're waiting for things to happen or more to come out, just like everyone. And as we said before, family member or not, anyone that should be tried should be tried. And we want justice for the victims. Runner Bean 5858. Evil idiots. What then would you call Alex, who in all likelihood killed all those who stood in the way of Lori and Chad? I think evil idiot fits that. I got him on that. I said it in terms of Chad and Lori because the question was about a mastermind. I said there's no mastermind in this group. They were both evil idiots. Yeah, I'd put Al in with that.
Yeah, me too.
Let's see. So, one more question, that closing thought. So we're there, Adam.
Yes.
From Betty Lester. I know you're not live now, but I was just wondering, what are your thoughts on this, Rex and Adam? Do you think Adam and Melanie had the quick weddings to get life insurance on their spouses, then kill them for more money? And if the group didn't want kids, why did Melanie marry someone with kids? Any thoughts on that? I keep jumping.
Well, you said Melanie and Adam. You mean Alex? Yeah, you wrote.
Yeah, did they have Melanie? Yeah.
So people get
you having a quick wedding.
Yeah, and I did not have a quick wedding. Let's see. That's definitely a thought that could be considered for sure. I don't think at the point where Chad told Lori or told Alex and Melanie that they had to be married to be part of this 144,000 to gather people. I don't know if at that point he told them that they couldn't have kids. I think at that point it went to stages. Like Rex was saying, that they just came up with crap as it went. Maybe at that stage they were just saying, well, guys, you guys have to be married. This is part of the celestial, the upper, whatever it has to be. And that's really what I believe happened. Now, I don't know how Ian falls into that. I'm not sure if Ian even knew what he was getting into or if it was explained. far as the kids being killed, I think that came after. I don't think it was right at the beginning, but I could be wrong. But that's my feeling right now.
No, they were married after the kids were killed, but that was certainly part of their strategy with some people. So it may or may not be part of this. I'm with you. I don't think
Melanie didn't know the kids were. I don't think Melanie knew that Kylie and JJ were killed when she got married.
I don't think she did, but I don't think they would have told them that.
No, I think
strategy.
Anything to themselves with that.
Yeah. And so we just like the, different people thinking different ways how it might have come to.
Things make things, and we all try to make sense of it. That's why we started this podcast, to make sense of it.
Okay, let's close with this beautiful thought from Ana Franco. And
all right,
us live this Saturday at 4:30 Mountain. Will that work for you, Adam?
Yep, sure will.
Live then. But from Ana Franco, as a tribute to the victims, let us live our best lives. May we be their proxies for our best year yet.
Oh, I love that.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Thank you for that.